located at 550 East State Street, and is a member of the Downtown Salem Partnership. He does live outside of Salem, but the ordinance provides for the opportunity for up to 4 people to be appointed to this tourism board that are not residents, so he fills the requirements. And I would like to ask council if they would appoint him to that.
Mr. President, I so move. Is there a second? Mr. Pepperos. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Sellers?
Yes.
Mr. Salino?
Yes.
Mr. Pepperos?
Yes.
Mr. Nye?
Yes.
Mr. Gall?
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Thank you. I will let him know.
Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Are there any questions for Mayor Rowan? Seeing none. We'll give you a second. We pulled the meeting up a little early today, but take your time. Attorney Zellers.
Thank you, Mr. President. You have an ordinance tonight coming out of traffic and safety regarding the law enforcement automated data system agreement with the other entities in the county. Just by way of explanation, that is the lead system is something that all the officers use, Highway Patrol, our local police, everyone to check criminal histories of people that they have arrested or are investigating. It's been determined that, like we have with mutual aid in other respects, that we have to have this agreement in place in the event that one law enforcement agency views the lead's printout of the other law enforcement agency, even though I think they can print their own. But anyway, it is a necessity, and it has become a county-wide issue that has been resolved. All the other communities, as well as the county and county sheriff, Highway Patrol, all of them are on board with this agreement, and it's something that I would hope that council will be able to put in place tonight, as we're one of the last pieces to fall into place. That was all I have, Mr. President.
Is that coming out of traffic and safety or rules and ordinances?
It was traffic and safety.
Okay.
I put Mr. Salvino on there just because Mrs. Mancuso was the former chairman and she had left, but Mr. Salvino was a member of that committee.
I got you. Okay. All right. Are there any questions for Attorney Zellers? Thank you. Mrs. Brothers?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have anything at this time, but I'm most glad to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Brothers? Mr. Apple.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council, mayor. Just to give you an update, the forms in the income tax office, we have that updated now, and it's going to be good from 2016 on for filing individual income tax. And it's going to be self-calculated. You put in the W-2 totals, and that'll add it up. Also, compared to the form that we have there now, you're going to, which is only good for W-2 totals, going to be able to put in other incomes such as profit or loss from business, rental income, those things. It'll total those up and calculate the tax for you, as opposed to having to make that calculation yourself. Also, it's going to have business withholding and reconciliation forms also. And as always, be able to mail or drop them off. The total cost for this was $1,200, which was within our budget. There was a situation as far as electronic filing that if we were to have gone that route, and that was examined before I got in there, that you'd be looking at about $10,000 to do that, and you would have a high yearly maintenance fee that would go along with it. The thing of it is, if somebody has the wherewithal and the knowledge, they'd be able to scan these forms now. We would accept them as attachment to email to our office, and people could go ahead. That would be basically a version of electronic filing by doing it that way. There's also, I think that this was Mr. Gall's idea. There's a donation line contained on the form for if somebody wants to donate to fire, police, streets, or parks. They can do that also. And as I indicated, it was all done for $1,200. It's certainly going to be something that's going to be more effective for the citizens, and again, giving them the opportunity to basically electronically file if they want to with our office. I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Apple? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Safety and Service, Mr. Kinst.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mayor Berlin, and members of council. I hope I'm not going to repeat anything since I came in later. I just want to start off by saying that our Super Cruise progress is, plans are moving along very well. It's probably going to be our largest cruise ever. This year, the car part of the cruise is being handled by the Mahoning Valley Corvette Club, and that's being spearheaded by Salem residents Sam and Judy Cecilia. The TAP sidewalk application that we tried last year, we're trying now, that is being led by Omega, is due May 18th. But prior to this application deadline, we must have a public information forum that will be held on Wednesday, April 25th at 6:30 here in council chambers. Next, the request for qualifications for the engineers for the 2018 street maintenance program were received last Friday. A total of 4 engineering firms were received and are currently being scored by Mayor Berlin, Matt Hoops, and me. Hopefully, by the next council meeting, we will have selected an engineer that may start working on our project. And some good news is that the demo houses that we've been waiting for, the bids for that demolition will be open by the land bank this Friday. So hopefully the actual demos will start in April. And the last item I have is the city's electric aggregation contract expires in December of this year. There was some confusion in my office that it was either May or December, but it is December. And First Energy Solutions will be offering us a program along with others, but we do not have to make any further decision until August. The end of August is a drop dead as far as when we have to have information submitted to, I guess, PUCO. And we will keep the Utilities Committee updated on any other companies we have offering pricing. And that's my report.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Brandon,
Mr. Goldman.
we need to make a decision by the end of August.
August 27th.
And contrary to what we both were told, First Energy is submitting some information.
Yeah, that was a competitive situation. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So we have at least 2 firms that are interested.
Yes.
Any other questions? No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Utilities, Mr. Weinberg.
Mr. Chairman, members, I have no report, but to say that the commission meeting was the 22nd, so it's coming Thursday.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Weinberg? Parks Director, Mr. Franks.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Parks Department has no report this time, but happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Franks? And Mrs. Becker. Thank you. Moving on to the report of the Standings Committee, Finance, Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report tonight.
Alrighty. Streets, alleys, sidewalks, Mr. Selby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do not have a report.
But you'll be taking place at Mrs. Mancuso's. That resolution number is going to be 180320-20.
Thank you.
Utilities, Mr. Gall.
The Utilities Committee is not met. We do not have a report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Roads, never mind. Parks, Mr. Zellers.
I have no report, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may, as per the Rules Committee, I understand the chairman has asked for a meeting tomorrow at 6:30 here in council. I believe we're having a report given to review the zoning in sections C1, 2, and 3, and the individual businesses that Town Center, I understand, is making recommendations as to what businesses should be in what zones. And anybody interested in the zoning in the city, I hope you join us tomorrow at 6:30. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And Economic Development, Mr. Pepperidge.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do not have a report. However, may I propose ordinance 21 for Cindy Dickey. Right, for a reading.
Yep. And policies, absence. All right, moving on to the introduction of ordinances. There are no second or third readings tonight. Starting with Resolution 180320-20, Mr. Salem.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that council suspend council rules so that ordinance 20 can be considered tonight.
Is there a second on that? Mr. Knoll? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Favor?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pepperidge?
Yes.
Mr. Salvino?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Thank you. Council rules have now been suspended. Mr. Salvino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to suspend the statutory rules so that ordinance 20 can be read for the first, second, and third reading tonight.
Is there a second on that? Mr. Gall. Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Gall?
Yes.
Mr. Favor?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pepperidge?
Yes.
Mr. Salvino?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Statutory rules have now been suspended. Mr. Salvino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the clerk read ordinance 20 by title only for its first, second, and third reading with emergency clause for passage this evening.
Madam Clerk, will you please read Resolution 20 with emergency clause?
Being a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a leads information exchange agreement and declaring an emergency.
Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on Resolution 20 for final vote?
Mr. Salvino?
Yes.
Mr. Pepperidge?
Yes.
Mr. Gall?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 20 is passed. Moving on to Resolution 180320-21. I had Mrs. Dickey introducing this.
Mr. President, I'll be happy to do that as a member of the Rules Committee.
Mr. Gall, would you please take over on that?
I move that we suspend council rules.
Is there a second on that? Mr. Pepperidge, thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gall?
Yes.
Mr. Favor?
Yes.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Mr. Pepperidge?
Yes.
Mr. Salvino?
Yes.
Mr. Zellers?
Yes.
Thank you. Council rules have now been suspended. Mr. Gall.
Mr. President, I move for we waive statutory rules for 21.
Point of order, Mr. President, if I may. Mr. Gall, this rezoning would require the ordinance to go first to the Planning Commission and then come back for
I understand. Are we not to have the first reading then submitted to zoning?
just first, so you would need to suspend statutory rules.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. President, I move first reading only of ordinance 180320-21, please.
Madam Clerk, will you please read Resolution 21 for its first reading?
Being an ordinance rezoning real property located within the city of Salem, located at 214 West Wilson Street, from RA Residential District to C2 General Commercial District.
Thank you. That concludes resolutions and ordinances. Move on to the pleasure of council. Mr. Salvino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier today, I went online and I noticed there's a 5K run walk benefit to benefit the family of Lieutenant Schaefer. It's going to be on Sunday, May 20th at 1:30 p.m. I think that'd be a great event for anybody in the public that would like to do that. And I'd also like to thank Chief Mason for spending an hour of his time with me. He gave me a nice tour of the fire department, and I definitely learned a lot, so I wanted to thank him for that. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pembros?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knoll.
Not to correct Mr. Salem, I just didn't know if you happened to mention that 5K for the benefits at the country club.
Yes, it's at the Country Club, Sunday, May 20th at 1:30.
And I'd just like to take an opportunity to congratulate Mr. Faber and welcome aboard.
Mr. Go.
Mr. President, I'd like to comment about another board that just met. Mr. Knoll is certainly aware of all the good folks that sit on the city school board. You know, today we had another shooting in the schools. I believe it was Maryland this morning. We talk about the opioid epidemic. We seem to have school shootings becoming an epidemic. But I want to reiterate that the superintendent, the members of the school board, the police department, the chief of police, the juvenile officers, obviously have a concern about protecting our kids and our school system and our city. And one of the comments that was made by Mrs. Hudak, I'd just like to reiterate, there's probably nothing anybody can do to stop somebody who wants to act in an evil manner. But I think we are all assured that the concern is being met. And so the discussions that are being held for maybe a full-time officer or continuation of the resource officer in the school system, and maybe that's something City Council needs to look at and to help also. But I want to say thank you to the school board to looking at the issue and expressing the fact that there is concern. We're all very interested in the safety of our kids. And this is a small community. We know all our kids. Some of us have kids that graduated from the school system. Some folks sitting here graduated from the system. And I think it's really important that we recognize the school board for their effort to keep our kids safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Go. Mr. Zellers?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Faber?
I just want to say I'm thrilled to be here, and I appreciate the support and confidence, and I will do my very best to live up to those expectations, and I'll let anybody down. So thank you for your confidence.
Thank you, Mr. Faber. And meeting
You know what, I'm going, we have our big meeting tomorrow, so. Yeah. And you just put, okay, you want, well, okay, then just put, you want the chamber, where that, yeah, write that down. Oh, absolutely. I wish that whole thing was that easy. That, okay. She just has to come in this chair all the time. So I think well, no. Not really. I'm sorry. I got my birthday. No. I got it from my bad, Callie. No, I'm sorry. Kenny, I thank you publicly for always supporting me. I know. One time I'm up there. If I the front of the class, I will. Yeah, but you got the picture. Get it? Get the picture? Yeah, you're really second. I love that. That mother?